We're here in Munich for the second day of the Munich Security Conference. This is the big day, the day where everyone from Zelensky to Antony Blinken to the Chinese Foreign Minister to many other world leaders and movers and shakers are here to solve the biggest security problems in the world. One of the main topics of discussions at this conference at the moment, especially between European leaders, is the idea of Europe without the US, NATO without a strong, dominant United States ready to defend its security. And that question isn't more important than with the issue of Ukraine, because as the US funding is currently blocked, it's European countries that are forced to somehow step up their support for Ukraine, even when their industrial capacity isn't ready. But still, some countries have made brave decisions to go forward and actually be pioneers in giving Ukraine what other countries refuse to give it. And one of those countries is the Netherlands. The Netherlands was one of the first countries not only to advocate for giving proper NATO howitzers to Ukraine, also Patriot systems. They've been a constant advocate for air defense. But of course, most famously, they were the first country, along with Denmark, to pledge F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine, to finally give Ukraine a proper Western Air Force. In just recent days, the Netherlands also pledged to join a multinational coalition to help supply Ukraine with hundreds of thousands of drones required to fight this new type of war. Today in Munich, the Kyiv Independent was given the opportunity to speak not only with the Dutch Defense Minister, Kajsa Ollongren, but also with the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, who has constantly been one of the main advocates for Ukraine on the public stage, and in the future could be in line for a new job as the future NATO Secretary General. These interviews are part of the Kyiv Independent's ongoing coverage of the Munich Security Conference. Stay tuned to see what they said, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've touched on some of these things already, but if we look at 6 months ago, all the talk was about the Ukrainian counteroffensive and pushing forward to complete victory. But I can say now from inside Ukraine, the discussion, with ammunition running out, US aid blocked, Russia moving forwards, has turned very quickly into one of Ukrainian survival. Does that urgency come across in your meetings here at the security conference? Do people realize that the paradigm has shifted?
Yes, they do realize that it is a fierce urgency. At the same time, let me point two things. One, and you know this better than I, that Russia expected in a couple of weeks after the 23rd of February 2022 to have the big celebration in Moscow, having been able to capture Ukraine. They had to cancel that celebration. Second, that of all the territory the Russians gained after the 23rd of February 2022, large part of the territory you have recaptured. And yes, it is true, the war is not over yet. It is crucial that you win this, that the Russians lose this, also because for us and the Netherlands and Europe, our values, but also our security is at stake. It's also our war, not literally, but proverbially it's also our war, and that's where we need to do massively more in supporting it.
But now we're also in a time where Russia has mobilized not only their army, but their economy, their military-industrial complex, and it now looks like they've dug in on the front line, a much harder task to beat this military. Is there any sometimes regret that the political decisions to send certain weapon systems weren't made earlier?
It always takes time in democracy to take those decisions, but I think we were able to fairly quickly do it. For example, the Panzer howitzers in May 2022, the Leopard tanks in February 2023, and we were, as Netherlands, instrumental in those decisions. And yes, we will come to points where we again have to take decisions for new weapon systems to be delivered. But don't forget, Russia's economy is not more than the Netherlands and Belgium combined. Nothing compared to Germany, nothing compared to France, nothing compared to the collective EU economy. It is much, much smaller. So don't overestimate the power of the Russian economy. And yes, we need to answer those developments, and that means more spending on defense, more production of military equipment.
So the Netherlands did take this leading role with being one of the first to bring fighter jets to Ukraine, which we hope will soon arrive. But when it comes to some of Ukraine's biggest supporters like the US and Germany, there are still political decisions on key weapon systems that they don't want to send, specifically long-range missiles. In your discussions with these leaders, do you try and convince them to make the same brave step that the Netherlands did?
But also they made a lot of brave steps. I really go to defend them. Germany is supplying massively weapon systems into Ukraine. And when you compare to some of the other bigger economies, it is really massive. So I'm not there to beat the Germans. I think they're doing what they can. And yes, there's always a discussion on the next weapons system. And I listened carefully today to Olaf Scholz, what he said here in the main hall. And it seems that something is cooking and the next decision is in the making. I cannot judge that, but his messaging today was clearly at variance from what he said before on this. So things are moving. And most importantly enough for you is that you have more air defense systems, more 155 ammunition coming into Ukraine. That's what the real need is at the moment. And there is no controversy about these two products. The problem is, can we at a massive scale get them into Ukraine? That's what you have to work on.
Thank you. Last thing, you mentioned, I heard in the Dutch interview, something about security guarantees similar to what Germany and the UK have offered. Can you update us in English on what's going on with that?
We are discussing intensely now with Volodymyr Zelensky's team on coming up with security guarantees bilaterally, the Netherlands with Ukraine, and I'm cautiously optimistic that we can close those discussions fairly soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.